small crew on deck. We got our captain, Jamie, and our industrious leader, Steve, with us this evening. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
All right.
All right. How are you?
I
have not been struck by lightning yet tonight.
tonight. Does that happen often?
Well, just tonight's been a particularly good night for lightning.
Well, that's an interesting story, and so are monster trucks. What does monster trucks have to do with the price of tea in China, Steve?
Absolutely nothing, but it's still an awesome story. So this is an indirect lesson about computer security. So this story comes by way of my favorite UK tech blog, The Register. Their title for it is Trucking Hell. Kid leaves dad in a monster debt after buying oversized vehicle on eBay. So according to this story, the father of a young 6-year-old left his laptop logged in. Now it's not clear if he was logged into just the laptop or his web browser was logged into eBay. But, kid has a thing for monster trucks. It's the day before his birthday. He goes on eBay and he sees this awesome monster truck for £19,000. And what the heck? He clicks a button and says, buy, right? So apparently this transaction went through. The 6-year-old bought a $19,000 or 19,000 pound monster truck. And there's we'll say that the parent was a little unhappy about this, a little upset about this. And, but whenever you think about, typical, like a credit card transaction. If you have a bad credit card transaction, you can typically challenge it, dispute it, get the charges reversed. Apparently, PayPal and eBay are not too keen on that, and their position is, nope, you bought the truck. We come down and pick it up at some point. So I think the moral of the story is, yes, no, you should not leave yourself logged into websites or into your computer. Don't use auto login, and maybe don't keep 19,000 pounds lying around in your PayPal account.
I also say turn on two-factor authentication.
Yeah, don't make purchases so easy for anybody, so if they have access to your system, they're not spending all your cheddar.
Yeah, I mean, this came up with kids making online purchases in video games, right? That where, you buy a lightsaber or something, I don't know, and it costs a couple of bucks, and Apple or whomever, the Apple Store's got your parents' credit card on file, so they deduct a couple of bucks. So they had to put some provisions. I guess they put some safeguards in there. I don't know for sure because I neither have a kid nor an iPhone nor an account at the Apple Store. But eBay is a $19,000 truck is a whole other ball of wax.
Well, with Android, the way I set it up, you have to scan my fingerprints in order to just get into it. And trust me, it's not that easy, because half the time I try and buy something, it's not the right fingerprint, apparently.
Which finger did I last use?
Or if you just rotate it slightly, it doesn't work, because it's not the exact little scanny section.
Well, there was the story of a child who took their finger, the thumbprint or whatever from their sleeping parent, and enabled it on their iPhone, and then was able to purchase something.
Yeah, I heard that biometrics is what they call it, and I heard it took an hour after it was released to the public for them to hack it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. I mean, nothing's safe to a determined hacker. However, you can limit the exposure. But speaking of fingerprints, so now we're going to have cops at the polls?
Yeah, that was one of the latest things that Trump suggested.
And, he's getting some backing on it, which is kind of ridiculous. It already scares, minorities are already terrified of cops to begin with, and so they're going to add more fear. Isn't that basically like voter manipulation going on at the polls now?
Well, I'm a little curious about this because we're in my town. There's usually a public safety officer, police officer outside of the polling place. I don't know if that's what you're talking about here, but
I think they were talking about scaling it up a bit,
uh,
which
I think this is checking IDs. It's like prove that you are in fact a voter, and it's a voter suppression tool.
oh, okay, so that's something different.
yeah. So I mean, already already you can't just walk in and get that. Apologize for the background call. Um,
Yeah.
but
So I just always thought like ours were there to keep like the campaigners from the opposing campaigners from clubbing each other with signs or whatnot. But
yeah, so
Well, that's why you can't have wood in them. You have to put them on foam board or insulation or something like that. You can't have your signs on posts.
okay.
so that being said, I really think it's kind of a terrible idea. I mean, other than having an officer there for security reasons, which is a good idea, having them not have to do extra work, good idea. Especially in that for a lot of them it's overtime anyways. Um, but that being said, yes, officer there for safety, great. Having to scan everybody to make sure everyone's authentic seems like just extra
An
steps.
officer there basically acting as an unofficial ICE deputy is not cool.
Absolutely. I mean, the other thing that I'm concerned about is there was another program they were rolling out for ICE that would basically teach people how to apprehend undocumented immigrants, or I believe even to use firearms. And it was just teach civilians. And it just had that feeling of creating, a brown shirt badge or something like that.
Exactly.
And I'm just wondering if this thing will be another, where you'll have people who will be at the polls who will be questioning, oh, you're not really a voter, you're not really here, you shouldn't, and making a stink such that people won't want to deal with it and they'll just leave and not cast their ballot. And so when those two start, there's only so many police officers. It's bad and certainly something we oppose. But when they start deputizing, every Tom, Dick, and Harry to go and stop you from, exercising your right to vote, then it's a problem.
Yeah, it's that starts to that does start to border on brown shirts.
Hmm. Well, that being said, we are doing a couple things coming up. In Jamie, do you want to fill everyone in on what us pirates are doing to keep this ball moving forward in the right direction?
Sure. 2020, our 2020 conference will be this fall, and we are in the midst of planning it. Obviously, big deal is whether we're going to go all virtual or if we will say do something with social distancing and masks outside. But we want to get a feedback from our supporters and our members as to what they want to see. We'll, of course, always err on the side of caution because a live pirate is better than a sick pirate. And if we'll put a link in the description to the survey that we have. If folks can fill it out, preferably by Tuesday, August 27th, all the better.
It would be very much appreciated. And we're actually actively doing calls as well, right?
We have not yet done calls to our supporters.
Yeah, but we do have a call-a-thon coming up.
Oh, sorry. Good segue that I didn't get. So last Thursday, Malt and I did a video live stream that was a call-a-thon about the Earn It Act, where we talked about what the Earn It Act would do in terms of potentially making it difficult for us to have encrypted communications, or having data, whatever you do on Facebook be sent off to some government agency or potentially even some nonprofit that would then sell that data to the police, and to see if, on just to find people who are engaging in child abuse or things like that. And one point we made was that most of the child abuse is simply done by someone the child knows, a family member, a friend, a neighbor, and that's not stuff that's necessarily going to be on social media or a site somewhere. And so we'll put a link in the description, just like with the survey, to that video. It'll probably pop up at the end as well, if folks want to go and see what Malt and I talked about. But most importantly, if you haven't called Senator Warren and Senator Markey, please do, and tell them that you oppose the Earn It Act and that they should put a hold on it and join Senator Wyden.
Awesome. And there's a couple other things coming up on September 12th and 13th.
Right. So September 12th and 13th, we haven't really had any events largely, but we're using social distancing, and maybe even just making it less formal. We've scheduled September 12th and October 17th, September 12th in Boston, October 17th in Worcester. Both are Saturdays, where people can come out and help us map surveillance cameras around Boston and around Worcester. We've already mapped a lot of them. If you go to cctv.masspirates.org, there's a nice searchable map that you can go through and find different parts of the state, the U.S., the world, and see where people have marked surveillance cameras. We've done a lot in Massachusetts. By far, Massachusetts has more mapped than any other state, but we want to make sure, but we only know a fraction of what's out there. We want to make sure that we go through and map those. And it's nice. It's outdoors. We'll be having videos, at least for iPhone apps and hopefully for Android apps, that you can just go and, it's an OpenStreetMap app. I'm here. Here's a camera. Click a button. Choose what type of camera is. Submit. And it would then be updated immediately. So OpenStreetMap is a great resource. It's basically Google Maps that we all control and we all can edit. So it makes it a lot easier for us to embed this data there. And so we encourage folks to support that and come out to these events September 12th and October 17th. And there'll be links to register below.
Thank you, Jamie, for that. And the last major thing we've been... Yes.
Since we're talking about events, we've got a tech meetup coming next Saturday, August 29th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That will not be in person. That will be virtual. We'll put a registration link, and the day before, we will mail out what the link is so that anyone who registered can go and join us.
All right. Thank you, Jamie. And the other major thing that we've been doing lately, and this one's more for me, is the computer donations. We have been taking those donated computers and giving them to needy families. In fact, I have a story coming out soon about where one of these computers went and how much it's helping this family. But we've been giving them to... at first we were trying to give them to the Wish Project, and now we're giving them to a local nun here in the city of Lowell, and she's helping distribute them to families who really actually need them. And so I'm going to be writing up a story soon about this one family and how much it's impacted them. So please be on the lookout for that. And of course, share, like, and subscribe. We're trying to do the good thing out there and do the right thing and make our government more open and more accessible for all. So, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great night.